How we doing, people? Happy Christmas. It's your boy Si, aka the Mancunian. Welcome to Gunner Talk. Once again, I know it's been another week since I've done a video. Obviously, you guys know it's Christmas time. I'm mega busy at the minute. I've got a wedding in, best man at a wedding in between Christmas Day and New Year's Day, so that's taking up all of my time at the minute on my best man duties. So I apologise, there's not been a ton of content. Since it's Christmas, guys, it's going to be the last one I'll probably put out now. I'll try and do one on Boxing Day, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get the chance after the Bournemouth game. But I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you guys that have supported me through everything I've been through this year. A lot of you guys that know me know it's been a real rough year for me this year. And this has been a great source for me to just vent a bit of frustration. So massive thank you to all of you guys that have just liked a post, even if it's just once. You've just liked it once, watched 10 seconds of a video, retweeted, subscribed. Just thank you so much to all of you, because it does mean the world to me. And in some dark times this year, this has kept me happy and smiling and kept me going. So a massive thank you to you guys. Really, you don't understand what it means to me. I'm going to stop before I get upset, but just you don't understand, guys, just how much the little things matter to people sometimes. So always try and be better every day, and always try and be nice to your fellow humans, because you don't know what an effect it might have on some people. So thank you, and I'm really hoping I can hit 100 subs before Christmas. I think I'm 4 or 5 short. So if you can give me a retweet, guys, a shout out, anything, I'd love you for it. Just a little silly personal goal for myself that I'd like to hit. And just thank you for the last year of me doing these, and giving you feedback and enjoying the content. And if you haven't enjoyed it, like I say, let me know, because all criticism's welcome. It doesn't get better unless you guys tell me it's not good enough. So thank you for everything. Plenty to chat about, guys. I was going to do a live one, but I've just not had the time to be sat down at a time where you guys are all free and we can have a real good chat about everything. So I'm just going to try and blast through what I can. Let's start off. We've got a new manager, guys. Mikel Arteta coming back to the club. I didn't think he was a great player when he was at the club, and I was pretty concerned when his name started getting mentioned about being the new manager. But any fears that I had were totally allayed when I saw that press conference. I was really, really impressed by him. Super polished, really professional, said all the right things, and not that I got goosebumps watching it, but I was like, this is my manager. Like, this is what it feels like to have a proper manager again. I was massively impressed by him. It's all just words at the minute, but if he backs up his words with actions, and he's a porker as well as a talker, then wow, world's our lobster. We could go anywhere under this guy. The big factor for me again is it's going to be the Kroenkers, and if they back him, I don't expect much from Mikel. If they don't back him, this squad of players isn't quite good enough. Yeah, he could probably get him playing quite a lot better, which will be his first challenge. But there's some parts of this squad that we're never going to achieve anything while they're the way they are. So he's got to get backed by the Kroenkers, and I think he will. To be honest, I think that we're at a point now where even they realise we are in a massive decline. They've tried fudging it and putting plasters over it for the last decade, but I think we're at a point now where if they don't stop the rot now, I honestly think we're in a massive relegation battle. I do, the way this team's playing, because there's nothing to say we're going to pick up 3 points anywhere. There's nothing. We've had a weak run of fixtures and we didn't pick up, we picked up 1 win in that against West Ham. And to me, that was because West Ham got greedy rather than just settling for a 1-0 win. So I can't really take any confidence from previous results at the minute. And I haven't got a lot of confidence looking at the run of games coming up, but who knows. His press conference, I listened to it. I made a point of pulling over in the car and listening to it and giving it my full attention, and writing a few bits down. So I'm just going to blitz through what I wrote down and my take on it. He was introduced and said, is he up for the challenge? Is he welcome? Is he glad to be back? And he got welcomed back. And he said he was proud. He really proud to come back home, which surprised me a little bit. But he said he feels proud, and he said he's prepared. And this club, he's got to say, it's not at the right level or the right stature for this club, and he wants to get us back where we belong. a lot of Arsenal fans talk about us as a massive club, but we've been a sleeping giant now for 10 years, just people won't admit it. We're not particularly relevant, and we should be, because there's not many people around the world who don't know who Arsenal Football Club is, so that's what we need to get back to achieving. He said it's always been his dream, and he said he was prepared again. I underscored prepare because I felt like he said it 5, 6, 7 times. He was making a good point of letting that be known. But yeah, he said it has always been his dream, and he said he felt ready, which, I think he's going to need to be. I hope he's ready, because he's got a massive challenge on his hands. Then he was asked what his priority is, and the first thing he said was to change the energy, the atmosphere. It's very negative around the club on all fronts at the minute, fans, back room, on pitch, off pitch, it's not great, so he needs to change the energy, he needs to get it more positive. I really love the fact that he didn't say, I'm going to come in and try things. He said the players need to accept a different process, and I'm going to shake the tree. I love that when he said that, because I said that a couple of days before it, I hope he comes in and shakes the club by its ankles until everything falls out the pockets that's not needed, and we've been it. So I love the fact that he said, I'm going to shake the tree and I'm going to see what falls out. And he just, the opening sort of 30, 40 seconds of what he was saying, I just felt like, wow, there's not going to be any bullshit under this guy. There really isn't. Massively, I was really impressed. He was talking about a line in the club, performances, if performances improve, then confidence improves, and if confidence improves, the fans' attitude improves, and we all go up together. And he was asked about the fans, and he said, look, it's give and take. You can't ask the fans to be behind the club when you're not giving them anything in return. So, if he realises if the team performs, the fans will give everything to the team. So, it made a lot of sense, and he said we've got to come together. He kept saying we're a massive club, and how excited he is, and you felt that. Just after that, he went on to mention about Josh and Stan, saying that they've got the same idea as him, the same goals. So let's see, because that's what, for me, I'm most worried about, is that they've gone for Arteta to try and just fix what's at the club, and unless we get some outside help, the playing style might get better, but I just don't think the players are capable of carrying out what he's going to expect from them. I thought it was really interesting. He kept saying that he wants to find out why things have gone so bad, why it's got so toxic and unpleasant and negative around the club, and that he's going to go and talk to everybody, and he's going to suss people out on an individual basis, not hearsay, not Chinese whispers. I will talk to everybody directly, and I'll make up my own mind of whether these guys are pulling in my direction, and if they're not, they won't be here. He was asked about Pep. I thought it was really beautiful the way he spoke about how complimentary and humble and appreciative he was of the people that have given him chances, and what it really means to him. And the first two things when he was asked about Pep, what did he say? His first two words were ruthless and consistent, and that's really hard to do. He's be ruthless and be consistent day to day, and that's for me the big issue that he's going to have. He kept saying about work rate, constant work rate, tireless work rate, constant work, and having belief in his idea. And then because he has belief in it, this is what I said about Unai, that he, how can you have confidence in a man that doesn't have confidence in himself? Well, Arteta's certainly not short of it, and he said, I have my beliefs, and I will make people buy into it, and if they don't, they won't be here. And I honestly, I gobbled up every word he said. It resonated so strongly with me on all my thoughts and issues to do with the club, and what's going wrong, and how we can go about fixing it. He kept saying about the little wins. Let's just go in little bite-sized chunks. Let's not try and go right from day one. Let's go straight to winning the Champions League. Let's get to the top of the league. Let's just win our next game. Let's just go day by day. Let's just train a bit harder. Let's just work a bit harder. Let's just communicate a little bit better. And we will get those end goals if we work on the little things. And I loved it. He was asked about, fans who were worried that he's been made manager. And he said, he was really honest about it. He didn't try and fill us with bullshit. And I love that all of his answers were very direct and straight. He said, I get it. I get why you'd be scared. I've got no experience. And I can understand why that makes people nervous. But he reiterated again that he is ready, and I love the fact that he said, "I'll give blood. I will give blood to make this club succeed," and that's what I want, because that's what I would do, and that's what any normal fans, or any, not even fans, just people who love this club, will do for this club, and that's what we need to have: players, a coach, backroom staff, even bloody tea ladies, security guys. I want everybody who works or is associated with the club to bleed for the club and to give their everything to make it a good place. He was quizzed about the last time, how close was he to getting it when Unai got given the job. Sorry, guys. And I thought he was very coy, sort of tongue-in-cheek. He was like, "Well, yeah, I was pretty close, to be honest." And which makes you see now, obviously, he was definitely in the conversation. But I thought it was very interesting that he said it was a positive that we didn't go for him at the time because he didn't feel he was ready. And then it's interesting that he says that about then, but now he said he was ready about 7 or 8 times in his first 3 or 4 minutes of talking. And I think it's a positive as well. I think, maybe if we'd have got him in when we got Unai, he might not have been ready. He might have bombed out, and then we missed the chance of now having him now when he feels he is ready to succeed. So it seems like, although it didn't benefit the club at the time, it might benefit the club now in the long run, which I thought was pretty interesting. He was quizzed about playing for us, and he said he loved the club and how upset he was when he left. I mean, the guy took a pay cut just to come here, and I assumed he loved Everton. I would always say he's more of an Everton man than an Arsenal man, but he sees it differently. When he was talking glowingly about Arsenal and how much Arsenal had done for him as well as Pep, and saying it sort of, we were the team at the time that played like Spanish football, quick, tappy, tiki-taka football, and how proud he was in Wenger of making him captain, and the bond that sort of gave him to the club, and that's resonant, that's stuck with him, and now he's going to use that, that pride that he felt, captaining the side to now managing the side, coaching the side. Everything he said, I just found really, like I said, I just gobbled it all up. I found it really impressive. He was then asked about what's gone wrong with the mentality, and he went very, very quiet. I don't know if he thought, right, I better hold my tongue here a little bit, because he didn't hold back in anything else he said, and there was just a couple of questions that he sort of had a little think before he just went out and said exactly how he felt. But he said, look, this is going to be my way. There's no two ways about that. It'll be my way or the highway. He said that there'll be no cowards. He won't accept any cowards, which I was like, again, yes, because I feel we've got, a lot of them in this squad that have been, as I've been saying for years, using this club like a youth club. Butlins FC, I've said it for 3 or 4 years now. Aubameyang warming up in trainers, Ainsley Maitland-Niles wearing his chain. It's just basic professionalism that's not been forced upon the club, forced upon the players, and he's going to come in and get that back. And he talked about passion and energy, just what a difference just having passion and energy will make. Like I said, I was really excited, and at the end of that, I just wrote down, you're going to have to ship up or shape out under this, shape up or ship out under him, because he's really not going to take any prisoners. He's not in the mood at all. I felt very much like he was a fan that's took it very personally of how this club's been treated over the last few years and how embarrassingly it's been run. And again, he said about he wants to speak to everybody to suss out what the players think's gone wrong, whether they're going to pile the blame off onto other people or they're going to take some responsibility themselves. And that's what I'd like to think, is a lot of people are going to step up and say, yeah, Mikel, it's got laxer, and sadly, that's what happens in workplaces when everyone gets lazy. Even the most hard-working people tend to get lazy as well and join that culture. So it's getting back that hard-working mentality again, and that's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, and if people don't buy into it, they won't be here, and he'll replace them with people that are. So I love that. He talked then about passion versus experience. Does he see it's a problem that he's got no experience? And he said, look, I've got all the skills, but I haven't got any experience. I'm not here to convince anybody otherwise, because it's pointless, because it's not true, is it? And it made me chuckle that he said he was he felt like he was an old player, but now he's a young manager, the youngest in the Premier League, which I think is quite impressive and quite a stance from the club. And I think it's quite a different. Say what you like about the board, and you guys know I'm not the biggest fan of the Crunkers, and I think they try filling us full of businessman spiel and salesman talk. And I've worked in that line of work. I know all those key phrases and all the jargon that they come out with. So I'm not convinced, but I think you've got to look at it. Look, they went and got Emery, and at the time, I think they looked at it like they have looked at a lot of things short term, and they went, let's find the guy who's got the best record at winning the Europa League, because that's all we need to do this year, is win the Europa or get top four. And that's how they ended up with Unai. Things didn't go our way. We absolutely capitulated at the end of last season. The Europa League final was embarrassing, sheer humiliation. But they've made a decision. They've got rid of him. They've realised things were only going one way. Yes, it took a little bit longer than we liked, but they at least made that decision. And now they've gone. People can't really complain, because they went for tried and tested, didn't work. Now what have they done this time? They've gone for young, exciting, new ideas and no track record. So I'm impressed by that. I've got to give them some credit for that they've gone for a totally different thing. And that's why I'm glad they've not sort of gone for a Mourinho or an Ancelotti, because I feel it had just got very much the same as it did with Emery. I think this is I think the unknown of Arteta, and no one really knows what to expect, has got everybody on their toes right from the start. There's no preconceived ideas. Even if you love the idea of Arteta, or you're indifferent like me, or you really don't like the idea of him, you've got no idea what to expect. None of us know what's about to happen. And I find that exciting. I've always been someone in my life that I find, I'm always happy to step out there and see what's there. Rather than stay in a stale space, I'm always happy to put myself out there and risk. It might all go badly and you might end up in a worse place, but you could end up somewhere better. So I can't be mad at the club for that. The next thing he was asked about was Ozil, and this made me a little bit nervous, because he said he's a massive player, and that he'll have a chat to him, and he knows what Mesut brings, and that was my biggest concern with Arteta. Was I'll be really scared of him becoming chummy with players that he knew from last time round. And Mesut, for me, is, as I've said, although he can be good on his day, he's nowhere near as good as he was. And he is a very diversive character for me, is that, you seem to either can't be doing with him, or you absolutely love him and will back him no matter what. And I've been saying for so long, we just need to get rid of characters like that, because it's not helping the club. That debate every week, is he playing, is he not playing, it's Emery versus Ozil. I don't want that situation to carry on. So I was pretty happy when I heard the rumours about maybe just getting him away on loan to Turkey. I listened to what Mikel had to say in this, and I just wrote down, I don't think he's going anywhere now. I think that's one person that Arteta might look to lean on as a bit of an ally of somebody that he already knows. He was asked about players and transfers and what he's going to, and he just said, look, that's, he said about quick wins, that's not something that I'm going to talk about right now. And I was grateful for that. I think it'd have been embarrassing if he'd have come out saying, this guy's got to go, this guy, we don't need that. That can all go on behind the scenes for me. And he said, we just need to win some games. That's all that we need to concern ourselves with at the minute, is just to start winning some games. And then we'll, take that next step and look about other things. And then it rolled into, he was asked about the rest of the season, and he just said, look, there's no targets. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to get top four. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to win the Europa League. I'm not going to say we're going to win the Premier League or what. He just said, look, there's no targets. We just go day by day. But he is well aware that it's Champions League or bust for a club like Arsenal. You have to finish in top four. Being a guy who was here under Wenger, he knows the importance of, maybe what some fans didn't realise is that, if you can't win the league, just make sure you keep landing top four, because it keeps you relevant and it keeps you in the conversation. We haven't been in that now for 3 years, so that's a big thing for him. But it's about now, it's about today, it's about tomorrow, it's about those quick wins, and I absolutely love that. Then he got asked about Freddie. He got asked first, and then 10 or 15 minutes later down the line, he got asked again. And he said there's no decision been made. Apparently the club have told Freddie that he's got a job at the club. I don't really see where he fits in, to be honest. I'm not sure. You've got Mertz as the in head of the youth setup. You've got Baldy as the under-23s coach or whatever. So I don't really know where he fits in. And if he doesn't see him fitting, and I don't think we should force an opening for him. I love Freddie, but this is now Mikel's time, and if he doesn't see a spot for Freddie, then let's put allegiances to one side, and you go off and do something somewhere else, and maybe you come back at a later date. But I don't think they should ram a position in there for him if there isn't one. So it'll be interesting to see what he ends up doing. Looking at how things have gone for Freddie, they've not gone great, have they? And I thought it was really worrying to hear his press conference, talking about the club need to get a manager in now. I think he knew he was out of his depth, and he is not even close to being ready to be a full-time manager at the level of our club. That slapped me straight across the face, the way that he spoke. You've got to give him a ton of credit for just stepping in and putting the club first above his own reputation. Somebody said to me, do you think he's ruined his chances of being manager? No, not at all. I can't imagine anyone really old in the last couple of weeks against Freddie. You should be appreciative that he cares about the club enough to just step in and help out and put his own neck on the line when he's clearly not ready to do so, but he did because he loves the club. So he gets a round of applause from me. Thank you, Freddie, for just taking charge of the ship for a couple of weeks. And just thank God it's all over pretty quick. Because I get the same feeling that Freddie was getting no respect, the same as Emery wasn't getting respect, and the same as Wenger wasn't at the end. So, but yeah, Arteta said there's no decision been made, and they're going to talk, sit down, and have a chat. So it'd be interesting to see. And then he just carried on, and he went on about his huge respect for Pep again. And just anybody he's worked with. And I found it really interesting his comments about when they went to City, and they were told you won't make this happen, this won't, you won't get anywhere with it, and him and Pep sat down and went, we'll do this our way, me and you, mate, together, sticking to our ideology. We will turn this club into a success, and no one can say, you can say they've spent a lot of money doing it, but they've still got to play the right way. You look at Everton, they've spent a fucking load of money. It's not improved them much on the pitch, so it's not just about spending money, it's about, you've got to have the right mix of things. It's all good and well having the money, and City have got the money, but they've got the brilliant coaching staff as well, and that's made all the difference. But I found it really impressive that he was sort of, we killed this and we killed it our way when we were told we wouldn't. So that gives him massive confidence in his own, like I say, in his own ideas, in his own way of running a club, and how you go about it. And he will have learned a ton from Pep. Then I thought it was really interesting. He was asked about why he came. And I wondered that, why he would, maybe not so much why he would do it, because, if Arsenal knocked on my door, I'd step in, even if even if I thought this is a bit of a poison chalice, I would do whatever I was, and I would rather have my reputation tainted than the club's, but he said, when Arsenal knocks, you answer, going back to Raul's, when Arsenal knock, it's a different knock sort of thing. And it pulled at his heartstrings, and he had to go with his heart, and he knew he had to take the leap. But he's backing that up by the fact that he feels he's very ready. So I'm just really excited, guys. I am. I didn't think I'd feel this way. I really didn't. You guys know I like to keep a sort of level head, but he really impressed me. He really did. Most impressive press conference I think I've ever watched, and I've not watched thousands, but I've watched hundreds of them, and I was really taken back by how, I really love the fact that he wasn't sat with anybody either. There was nobody holding his hand. It wasn't, I don't need Josh here, I don't need Rowley, I don't need Edu next to me. I'll tell you my thoughts. I don't need any backup. I love that. He was asked about timescale of what's been going, and he said, look, it's been hectic. With you guys, I tweeted about it saying, chill your beans. This can't happen overnight. He's got no staff. They need to arrange compensation for him, compensation for staff that he might want that are at clubs. Nothing happens overnight, guys. Nothing happens instantly. Just relax a little bit. It was happening, so just chill out a little bit. And that's what he said. Look, I had a game with City. We had a midweek game. We had a game every 3 days. It's just not that easy to get time off to have these conversations in person, which is the way you want to do them, not over the phone, not on FaceTime. You want to have a proper man's chat face to face. So I couldn't really blame him about talking about the time. I thought it was a bit of a pointless question, that, to be honest. I thought it was a bit silly. But yeah, that was it, really. That was everything I took from that. He just spoke so well for me, just looking at the overall of it. and just so much of it resonated with me, and how my way would be, which is it's my way or the highway. You're gone, and I wrote in capital letters, no mercy. I really hope he backs it up, what he's been saying. I hope it's not empty words and hot air. But the proof is gonna be in the pudding. But if he does back up what he's saying, I think this club is in for a real transformation if we give him a bit of time. And I absolutely loved what he had to say. Like I say, I was mega impressed with him. And I think it's nice that Freddie took charge of the Everton game. I don't think Mikel had it personally. I don't think he had any input in the side, or I think he just said to Freddie, you just keep doing what you're doing, mate, and I'll. I think it was nice that he got to sit in the stands and watch and sort of see what these players, surely all the players have been running their bollocks off in that game and putting everything in because they want to impress a new manager, and I didn't really feel like that about 80% of them. Because, sadly, as I say, I just don't think most of this squad have got it in them. I don't think they've got the stomach for the fight, I really don't. I think most of them will fucking dive off. And they'll run away and hide, and I think a lot of the players, I hope they watched that press conference, and I hope they went, right, get my agent on the phone because I don't want to do this hard work. Either way that conversation went, whether they went, right, I'm going to dig in, I'm going to give everything for this guy, because if I follow him, we'll go somewhere. He's someone to follow. And if they don't, they don't. And then they're gone out the club, and they're not the people we want at the club anyway. So it's a win-win for me, really. So I'm really excited by it. Let's get on to the next page of scribblings. Let's get on to the game, the Arsenal-Everton match. God, it was the sort of, I found it a very strange game, that it was sort of, Freddie versus Dunk, but the two actual managers both sat in the stand. Two ex-club legends in the dugout. I just found it a really bizarre scenario for a game. And I said to you guys, if it just comes down to Freddie versus Big Dunk, I can only see it coming out, 1 or 2-0 to Big Dunk. I was not disappointed in the way Everton played because we got a point, but I saw a lot of people getting very carried away saying we were miles better, and I don't agree. I thought Everton were incredibly poor rather than us being very good. And I know some people are going to say credit where it's due, but I watched the game and I just didn't think they were very good at all. I didn't really, how many shots were on target in that game. I don't really remember Leno having to make a single save. Credit where it's due. I do think we were slightly more organised, but not enough to be winning games. And these aren't great teams we're struggling against. But Freddie, he gets a 4 out of 10 for me. I don't know. I just don't know what to make of him. I just think he's been totally out of his depth, to be honest. I love the fact that he took a stance on Mesut. The kick in the gloves. That's not how players who play for Arsenal should conduct themselves. I saw that picture. And I noticed the same as a few other people did. Is look at Joe Willock and Nelson's eyes. They're both like that. It's not a good example to be setting, and this guy's our flagship player. It's embarrassing. So I was impressed, but that's all he really got points from me for, was getting Mesut out the lineup. And he said, look, it's not because he's ill, it's not because he's not fit, it's just he wouldn't have played for me no matter what, just to make a point. And I love the fact that he bumped some youth players in there, I really do. Let's say we defended all right, but attacking we were dog dirt again. No real cohesion, no real identity to the play, no real structure, no real process that the players are going through. Just not very good. Fans get an 8 out of 10 for me. I thought they were in good voice again. I couldn't hear that well, so that's why they only get an 8 and not a 10 for me, but I'm sure they probably were a 10. Great credit to you guys, well done, because I think you've been brilliant. I've said it a few times this year. To keep your chins up and keep supporting the way you have, a massive pat on the back. Let's get into the lineup then. We had Leno in net, Ainsley at right back, Chambers and Louise at centre back, Saka again filling in at left wing back, Torreira and Xhaka in the centre of the park, Emile Smith-Rowe just ahead of him, and then Nelson, Martinelli and Aubameyang down the middle as a front three. Just to go through the game, first 15 minutes, nothing of any note. It was just very scruffy, very scrappy. No one really getting a foothold in the game. Struggling, and that's what I thought. I really feared for us, because I thought Everton would go at us like a wounded animal, and they'd go, the way they've been playing the last few games, just high intensity, loads of passion, and that would have seen them through against us, in my opinion, because we're not playing good football. And I don't know where that Everton went, but it certainly didn't turn up, because they were terrible. I'd have rather preferred they went at us full steam, and then it'd have opened it up going the other way, and we might have got a bit of counter-attacking football. But it was just a dead game for me, really. 15 to 30 minutes. 17th minute, a really clumsy tackle from Luiz on the edge of the box, where he's got caught square again, stood square on. He's got to stop doing that. It's so basic, just standing with a bit of, angling players the way you want them to go. It's I'm not a defender, and I learnt that stuff when I was 6 or 7. It's not good enough. He's got to learn it. This is the thing for me, is I don't think he will ever learn. He's at an age now where he's an old dog that won't learn new tricks. He is what he is, and you have to accept it, that, you get the bit of the nudging the ball around well and some nice long balls, but you also get that riskiness at the back that he can't really fully be trusted. And I just scribbled down, the team is crying out for a presence in the middle of the park, and then I just put lol Xhaka. We need somebody that's a ball carrier, that can pick the ball up when they pass it to Xhaka at the edge of the box. His inability to step out is sickening. It just turns my stomach. And basically, if we're going to get anything happening in the midfield, it's Torreira or nothing. It's all him. All the legwork, all the movement is all Torreira. And that's not a bias, it's just what I see. And I had to laugh. Xhaka, 20 odd minutes in, and he's telling people, calm down, slow it down, let's be, and I thought, fuck me, that's the opposite of what we need to do. And I wrote down in capital letters, tempo. We play with zero tempo, and it kills us. And this guy's, telling us to slow it down even more, so it suits him. He's such a detractor from everything good we are trying to do. It's just upsetting. And I just put, again, going forward, midfield options, Torreira or nothing. 30 to 45 minutes, more of the same. I put zero link defensive attack, unless it's Torreira. When I put Emile Smith-Rowe, he's not one that didn't come in for a hiding from me. I put, he needs to want the ball more. He was an absolute ghost in that first half, and he's the one who's, I want to see Guendouzi in that role, or Willock in that role, or Emile Smith-Rowe of the helping get the attack going. People criticise Guendouzi for his lack of positional sense in a defensive manner. I don't want him to do any of that, because I don't think it's what he's best at. I want him to play in the Ozil role, where he just floats around and gets things going, and just buzzes around, and not so much defensive responsibility, because I don't think it suits him. But yeah, I said, the same with Emile Smith-Rowe. He needs to come to the ball, he needs to want the ball, he needs to show for the ball, and he wasn't doing. The game was passing him by in the first half. And I wrote down again, with two sides here, with quite a lot of decent players, and neither side has got one player, either of them, that will grab the game by the scruff of its neck and carry a side, and that's what we're missing massively, and it looks like Everton are missing the same. And again, just Xhaka again, and I'm saying it again with him, his gesture, he's getting a simple ball from the centre-backs right on the edge of our box, and what is he doing? He's constantly saying to people, come to me. No, you step out. It's no good having Aubameyang in our half and then having to carry the ball. It's no good Pep being on the edge of our box and having to drive the length of the pitch with the ball. It's for you to pick the ball up as our deep-lying playmaker, to pick the ball up at the edge of the box, and if there's not a pass on, step forward 10 yards, step forward 20 yards, beat a man, and then open the game up. And his inability to do that absolutely stifles any form of good flowing forward football that we can create. And that's why, for me, he has to be the first guy out the door in January. No agenda, no hate. I dislike the guy. I will never forgive him for what he did, abusing our own fans and telling them to fuck off and throwing the armband. Never will I forgive him for that. I don't care. He's still never apologised, and even if he did, it means nothing to me. I just want him out. And for me, people who defend that guy, once we get a proper ball-carrying beast, strong tackling midfielder, you'll all go, why did I back this guy for so long? I honestly, I might be wrong, but I just don't believe it. So that was the first half, just poor, really poor. No style, no identity. Working fairly hard, but not hard enough for me. No real, we don't close down. We don't do it as a unit. We don't press as a unit. You see it so many times. One person goes, right, I'm going to press, and they dart over, and then they look round, and it's like, oh, no one's followed me, because the middle of the pitch is just, they can't keep up. 45th to 60th minute, 50th minute, we had a corner. Chambers with a little flick and Ober a good chance, and he sort of fluffed it. It was a tricky one. Decent save by Pickford. 52nd minute, really our only good attacking move. Torreira got a rush of blood to the head, and he went ghosting through the midfield. He just a couple of little balls, and then a great little through ball. And it got squared, and this is another moment where Emile Smith-Rowe, he needed to scream at Aubameyang to get out of the way, because he was walking onto it at perfect pace to just put a foot through it, not slam it, but he could have just used the momentum of the ball to put the power in the shot and just aim it at goal, and I think we could have scored, but instead he sort of backed down on seniority and he let Aubameyang try and have a go at it, and it just ended up a mess. But my comments about Emile Smith-Rowe, he needs to step up, and in the second half I felt like he did. I felt like, whether Freddie had put an arm around him and said, look mate, come on, you're not going to get in this game unless you get yourself in it. And I did feel like, although he wasn't standout, he definitely tried to get himself more involved. 60th to 75th minute, and I just wrote down, we could edge this game. If we showed desire and intent from the start, we could have beat Everton, because they were there for the taking. And I think Duncan Ferguson will have gone in the change room at the end of the game and looked at it the same as they've gone, we've cocked up there. I'm sure they were happy with a point against us at home, but when he gets through his little tenure, and his interim job, without tasting defeat. But I think we both missed a trick. I think the draw was a poor result for both, to be honest. 65th minute, Emile Smith-Rowe went off for Willock, and it was weird that just as that sub happened, I was writing down I'd have Nelson off for Pepe and I'd have Aubameyang off for Laka. That's not what happened. He brought Willock on. I was a bit confused. I'm not sure why. I just wrote down, there's just no tempo. There's just no tempo to the game, really struggling. And then just the last quarter of an hour, 77th minute, Aubameyang off for Lacazette, and it happened way too late for me. And just for the end of it, I just put just no real plan, so no real result, and that was it for me. So let's get into rating the players. Leno, he gets a 5. He just had nothing to do. Ainsley, I give him a 6. I thought he was decent again. Not mind-blowingly brilliant, but he held his own on that right hand side, and I hope now that I really want to say, I've been telling you guys for ages, I want to see Ainsley get a go in the middle of the park. It doesn't seem he's ever going to get that. Maybe Arteta might give him that, but the way things are at the minute, we're going to have to play him as a right wing back or as a right back, and maybe that's what I said it on my video the other day. Maybe he has to accept, and I also have to accept that that's the only place he's going to get a chance at this club, and he either takes it with both hands or he goes elsewhere and tries to plough his own furrow as a midfielder or a winger at another club, but I don't want to see. But it doesn't look like the options are there at the minute. Chambers, he gets an 8 from me. I just put he's the only leader in that back four, and he's our best centre back. That's not really a glowing reference looking at the state of the rest of them, but he is someone, like I said, a lot of you would quite happily have sold him for 20 or 30 million just to get some money in at the start of the season, before the season started, and thank God we didn't, because I think we'd be in a right mess if it was between Luiz, Socrates, Holding and Mustafi. Obviously Holding not playing, and the other three, God, I wouldn't trust him with fucking anything. Wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him, definitely not. But yeah, he was man of the match, Chambers. He was a standout for me. I thought he was really good. Luiz, he gets a 5. Really good range of passing, and why, but he's poor in defence for me. He just can't be trusted. I didn't think he had a great game defensively. And he's for me someone who I think we've got to get a defender in, and he gets a go at centre defensive mid. If we give Torreira a break or next to Torreira, but he's not a centre back. He's no good at it for me, and there's always going to be massive nerves when he plays if he's a centre back for me, especially if he's partnered with Mustafi or Socrates. Saka gets a 7 from me. Although he wasn't brilliant, you've got to give him a ton of credit. Here is a just turned 18-year-old kid who is an out-and-out winger, in my opinion, that we're sticking in at left-back. And I thought he did a really good job. I thought he did a really, really good job. And like I say, although his performance was probably only a 5, I'm going to give him a couple more points because I just fair play for stepping in. And, I said it to you guys last year about Ainsley. You get one of our other midfielders to play at right-back or left-back and see how well they do. I said it, play Xhaka at right-back, see how well he gets on. So I've got to give the kid a ton of credit. He played like a man. I still think he's incredibly flimsy and he's not quite cut out for the Prem yet, but taking that into consideration, I've got to give him even more credit because he stood up to the challenge. So, well done, Bakayo, because you impressed me, mate. Torreira gets a 6.5 for me. He's the only driving tackling force in our midfield. He's the only person that can tackle. He's the only person that can read an interception well regularly, and he's the only person that can pick the ball up and run with it. Win a ball, look up if the pass isn't on, drive forward with it. Hasn't got a ton of pace, but still manages it. So it's why I don't give Xhaka any excuses, and he's a dead footballer. But yeah, just thank God we've got Torreira because a midfield without him terrifies me. It just gets walked through. Xhaka gets a 4. Totally ineffective. January exit. I'm not going to keep banging on about him. Like I say, his inability to press out of the edge of our box. It's a big problem. People keep going on about why we can't play out from the back. Well, the lads try and play it out from the back, and then the one person that should be there, always open for them to play it out to, isn't always open. He's usually hiding, and if he's not hiding and he is available to play the ball back, he just tends to just pass it straight back to him once the player runs towards him. And it's just then they're in the same situation again, and then they end up probably getting pressed, and then they go back to Leno, and then he gets pressed, and then it either just punts it out or it goes full circle and we start again. So that's why for me we have such a problem with playing out from the back because there's not another option. And it's really embarrassing. Even watching just them do it with Tom Davies. He's not a great player, Tom Davies. He's very average, but watch how they go about it. Even Sigurdsson. They've got not particularly pacey players in those areas, but they manage to even just step out. And this guy's inability to do it strangles our team. People tell me, he's a really important way we play. He is. He is an important way we play. I agree with you, but that's why the way we play is so fucking tragically bad because he's at the helm. This is the guy steering the ship. Guys, I'd rather have the captain of the Titanic. I've said it so many times. Birdseye, Pugwash, Kanish. I'd rather have any of these guys as a captain and a leader than this guy. And I keep saying it. It's not hate. It's just we will never get better as a side while he is an integral cog in our machine. He won't. And I pray to God that these rumours about her to Berlin are true. I'd love somebody that I know with a bit of inside info to come to me and say, "Si, he's gone, mate. Cheer, have a cheer, have a few beers over Christmas on the back of it." And I don't care if we don't replace him because I believe he brings nothing to the table, but we do need to go out and get a real drive. Go and get a Thomas Partey, go and get a Sangare, an Ndidi, a Decore, go and get one of these guys for God's sakes. I had a conversation with somebody about it the other day. Go and spend the money. Look at what Liverpool did. They didn't piss about trying to fill gaps. They just went and spent the money. They identified that they needed a spine in their side. So what did they do? They went and spent 50 odd million, 70 million on a goalkeeper. They went and spent 70 odd million on a centre back. They went and spent another 50 odd on Fabinho in the middle of the park. That's what we've got to do. If we actually, really intend on getting back in the mix with these teams, because we're so far behind Liverpool and City now, ain't going to happen overnight. And the quick fixes, plasters aren't going to do anymore. We need casts, to fix our broken limbs. Plasters ain't going to cut it anymore. So do I care if Xhaka gets replaced? No, but I really hope that the board have the intent of, one dynamic player in our midfield could really transform the side, especially if we back that up with one really strong leader centre-back. So it'll be interesting to see. Smith Rowe, he gets a 5.5 for me. No impact in the first half, but at least he tried to make one in the second, so I've got to give him some credit for that. Sorry guys, someone's rat-a-tat-tatting on my door. Probably a delivery man or something. It's sod off in a minute, put it in the porch, but I've got to give him a little bit of credit for that. He was underwhelming, but at least he tried, and he tried to get himself involved. Even though it didn't quite come off, it's a learning experience, and Emile Smith-Rowe for me is somebody that I believe will be that sort of Ozil for us in the future, or one of them. I think he's got a huge future. He's got a huge amount of talent, and it really for me is as far as he wants to go. And he's a player I think that will benefit massively from Arteta, because he's quite maybe not a very similar player to Arteta, but he's not a million miles away from it. So that's something that I'm going to be intrigued to see how much Arteta can just improve some of these guys. Nelson, he gets a 4. I thought he was absolutely dreadful. I thought he worked hard, but I'm just not sure what's up with him. And I just wrote down least effective player on the pitch. Just strange one. I didn't find it strange he was given a chance, because I've been saying the last few games I'd like to see him get a goal, but he's really got to step up for me. I don't know if his heart's not in it, he just doesn't care. I can't make out what's his problem at the moment, but it needs sorting out, and it needs sorting fast, because he's going to fall very far down the pecking order if he doesn't watch out. Saka, Martinelli emerging. You've got the likes of John Jules, Balogun in the wings. It's going to be really interesting. I think there is going to be quite a bun fight between all these guys, and it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top. Who's the one that wants it the most. Let's see who comes out comes out top. Aubameyang again gets a 4. Dreadful. I said it to you guys last year. I said if the goals dry up for him, he's going to take a tonking from this fan base, because he does nothing else. And people, I said it again. We'd have had so much more value in this game having Lacazette in the side instead of Aubameyang, because at least he works. At least, I said it during the game. At least their centre backs, if it had known they weren't in the training session, if Lacazette had been the pitch, at least he'd have put himself about a bit. At least he'd stood on some toes, give him a little pinch, done a little bit. Aubameyang does nothing. None of that. It's like when we pump the ball forward. Has anybody ever seen him win a header? It's just, I don't know why he even bothers jumping. It's just pointless. And I am strongly in the camp of, although he's a great goal scorer, we don't need him. People are going to laugh and go, yeah, but we do need his goals. Where would we be without his goals? Yeah, but look where we are with his goals. I'm not saying that if we truly made him a focal point of this team and we got really good wingers and midfielders, he wouldn't score 40, 50 goals a season, because I think he would. But looking at his age and what he actually brings to a team, I don't think we can afford players like him that aren't quite down for the cause. He's quite a selfish player. Very similar to Mesut. It's more about him than it is the side for me. Like I said, I think there'd be a lot of value. If there's any truth in this rumour about Jovic at Real Madrid, and they're so desperate to have him, he's come out and said, my granddad always wanted me. I think he's passed away. He's always wanted me to play for Real Madrid. That's my dream. Well, this is his last chance to play for Real Madrid, and they seem like they're very adamant to come and get their man, and I think we'll accommodate it, and I don't have any complaint with that at all. And I'd straight swap Jovic going off his age at 21 compared to Aubameyang. I think it's a good fair swap for me. In what you'll get, they'll get instant return, we'll get long-term return. So I think that'd be a fair trade. But the fact they're talking about Jovic plus money, Jovic and Ceballos, if we could get Jovic and Ceballos, and get Mesut out, just his wages gone, because I don't think we'll ever get a fee for him. It's just getting rid of his wages. And Aubameyang out, and that, there you go, there's 2 replacements there. Ceballos, I think there's much more value to having him instead of Ozil. And going forward, building a future at the club, I think there's much more value in having Jovic over Aubameyang. And then maybe if you've got Jovic, you use Martinelli or Eddie as his backup, and then you get rid of Laka, and then you use the Laka money to go and get a proper winger or a proper centre mid, or it's going to be really interesting. But I'm not against letting most of these guys go. Keepers for me, Leno, Martinez, I'd keep both of them. Bellerin, although I wouldn't be too upset if he went, because I'm not quite sure he's good enough. He's not an immediate need for me, so he's good enough. Ainsley, do you get an upgrade on Ainsley, or do you keep putting faith in him? Who knows? But I'd probably keep those 2. Chambers and Holding are the only centre backs I'd keep. Mavropanos needs to go out on loan. The 3 seniors all need to leave ASAP. Left back, Kolasinac, you get rid of him. And, you know, it's a shame he got injured because he was starting to actually look quite decent in Turney's place. Now he had a bit of proper competition. Turney, obviously, you keep. He's the future of the club in my eyes. You know, and all the young guys, really, it's the senior pros I have an issue with. You know, Xhaka, El Neni got to go. Torreira, you know, I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't care if Torreira went, but I think there's a monster player in there if we play to his strengths and have two really energetic players, one next to him and one just in front. I think we could set the world on midfield. You know, and the forward guys, you know, Martinelli, Pep, you know, do you care? Keep Lacazette about? Who knows? But I don't have an affinity towards any of the players at the moment. I really don't, apart from the odd one or two. You know, Leno's really, for me, the only one that I'd really care if he left, because he's the only one who puts it in every week for me. It's interesting. Just last but not least, Martinelli, he gets a 6. He's probably his most ineffective performance. But, you know, he tried really hard, and I just wrote down in brackets, in a better side, this kid flourishes. We've got a real player on our hands, and I do think that's the case in quite a lot of our players. The subs, they weren't. You guys know I don't like if somebody's on for less than half an hour to really rate them, so I'm not. Willock, he just sort of replaced Emile Smith-Rowe, sort of not really getting a foothold in the game, sort of trying but not really with enough intent to, you know, where's the Joe Willock gone from the start of the season where he was pounding up and down and, you know, he was a massive integral part of play? That's disappeared out of him. Another one, maybe Emery smashed his confidence to pieces. You know, it's just not good, is it? You know, and I was saying this the other day that a lot of the players in this squad now, it's not a case of just getting them, you know, getting them to improve the way we're playing. A lot of them now, we've just got to get them back to turning them back into footballers before we even get them playing with any style or intent. You know, Emery's, as much as I didn't strongly dislike him, his knack for fiddling and being a tinker man and making people play positions that they weren't, you know, like Torreira, God knows where he could be at if he'd have kept progressing the way when he came to the club. But Emery decided to play him as a 10, as a winger, as a, you know, a midfielder, but a sort of left centre mid and a right centre, and it's just smashed his confidence. And he's, you know, he's autopilot. Not many of our players are playing with autopilot anymore because he's filled their head full of so much shit of doing different things. It's not good. And then, you know, Lacquer, what you know, 15 minutes. What can you really expect a guy to do in 15 minutes? You know, in a game with no tempo and no real, you know, imprint or structure. So, you know, he came on and just ran about and tried hard for 10 minutes and just, you know, like a blue arse flying, sort of wasted his time. But, you know, it was a point. You know, you've got to sort of look at it that way. You know, at the moment I said them 10 games we'd get 6 points out of them. Well, we've got 6 points now with 4 games left, so it's going to be interesting to see just how far we surpass my very low expectations. And I hope it is a bit, but Chelsea are having a bit of a wobble at the minute, but I don't really see us getting anything out of them. United at the minute are either, you know, they're blowing so hot and cold, they're either brilliant one week or tragic the next. Don't really see us getting anything out of that. Palace away, not sure. So against Bournemouth, that's a big game now because they're not great at the minute. And they're pretty weak at home, but they're capable of scoring any amount of goals on the day. So I'm just sort of glad that's the first fixture that Arteta gets, and hopefully we can squeeze 3 points out of it. But that's how I sort of looked at the Everton game, was just the end of one chapter with Freddie, and now it's the start of a new one with Arteta, and let's all get behind him. You know, there's still a lot of people talking with prejudice and preconceived ideas. Put them out your head. You know, was he who I wanted? I didn't really have a number one choice. There was plenty of people I would have gone for ahead of Arteta, but the club have chose him, fully behind it, and I want everybody else to get behind it, because now I think we've got to, you know, any external negativity, let's just put it to one side for a bit. You know, let's focus on the board now, because I do believe they've got the right man, and if he, like I say, puts his words into actions, then it's all going to be on the board about how much they back him. You know, and I said in very basic terms, just look at January. You know, without getting your FIFA and your champ manager heads on, what can the club do? And I said, you know, let's just get rid of Mustafi and Xhaka. There's 50 million quid. We can get 50 million in total for those two. I do, as much as I dislike and think they're both useless, you know, somebody paid 30 million or whatever for Dominic Solanke, or 20 odd or whatever it was. So other clubs managed to get good money for crap players. So, you know, we managed to do it. We got 40 odd for Iwobi. We got 30, 40 for for Oxlade-Chamberlain. They're both very average players, so we're capable of it, so I've not lost hope. If we can go and get 50 million, let's go and offer that to Watford. They look like they're in big trouble this year. Go and offer it to them for a Decore. We're not going to get away with scrimping. So use the money from them to go and buy either a very good centre-back or a very good defensive midfielder, or a real dynamic midfielder. And then the club are going to have to put their hand in the pocket with another 50 plus million to get the other part. And I keep saying it for years. This club, somebody tell me the last time this club had a real good spine, and that's what I always put the best teams down to, is they have a shit-hot goalkeeper, a shit-hot centre-back, a shit-hot centre-mid and a shit-hot striker. I keep saying it, we've got two very good strikers, more than two very good strikers. We've got two very good goalkeepers. We've just not had that bit in the middle for so long. We've got the two bookends now. We just need we've got the slices of bread. We just need the meat and the filling for the middle. And it's very plausible that we can go out and do that in January. There's some young centre-backs out there whose contracts are sort of getting to a point where their clubs are going to have to think about, take money before we end up with nothing, a bit like where we are with some players. So there's some very good deals to be done. Upamecano, we would have probably paid 50 plus. I think we can get him for less than that now because of his contract situation. Canate, his partner, is someone I would make a massive plunge for. The lad at Juventus, Demiral, who seems surplus to requirements there. He's a great defender, and I think we could get him for less than 50 mil. So there's deals to be done there, and that's not asking a lot. It's just 2 out, 2 in. I think that's very realistic expectations. If someone wants to tell me I'm mad, tell me why we couldn't do that. These are two players that, we're seeing that Xhaka wants out apparently anyway, and Mustafi knows he's surplus to requirements. He's been apparently told that for nearly 3 years, so let's get on with it. Let's get these two guys out. We wouldn't notice either of those two leaving, but we would notice either of those two getting replaced with proper replacements. So let's hope we can when I said about Arteta in that press conference, he said he has the same idea in mind as Josh and Stan. So let's see it. Because Arteta's saying all the right things, so back him. And I think if these guys do actually go, right, we just need to loosen the purse strings for a couple of windows. We said we're self-sustaining, right, that's fine. But there just needs to be one injection of cash. 200 million, 100 million, whatever it is, just inject something. We can raise some money ourselves, If you want to go all out, Mustafi, Luiz, Socrates, gone. There's 20, 30 million. El Nene another 10, Xhaka another 20, 30. There's going on for 80 million already. Aubameyang, Lacazette, that's 200 million. We can raise some money ourselves, but I think it needs to be sort of like a charity thing where, whatever you raise, I'll match it. That's what I feel like we need, is that they go, right, if you can raise 100 million in player sales, we'll add another 100. Let's just see. But that's where my attention goes now, not so much on Arteta. I'm just excited to see him get to work. My main attention now goes on the board of backing the guy, because for me, when my mate said it, and we've been looking sort of reminiscently towards Wenger and the way he was treated, and he said if these guys had backed Wenger from day one, we'd never be in this position. And I'm sorry, but I have to agree, because Wenger wasn't a bad manager at the point when these guys came in. He still had the moves. And if you look at some of those teams he was getting results with, if we'd have just given him 100 million every window, we'd be nowhere near in the position we're in now. I really strongly believe that. I know it's hindsight, but I really strongly believe that. They didn't back Wenger, they didn't really back Emery. Freddie we can't really talk about, but I want to see, I don't want a third time, 3 strikes and you're out here. I want them to get behind Arteta. So that's it, guys. Like I say, I'm just really looking forward to Arteta's reign now and seeing what he can do. And like I say, if he talks as good as he talks, we're in for a good old banging, and I really like that. Just the last quick thing I wanted to talk about was somebody asked me about. I wasn't really going to talk about it. Was the Arsenal Fan TV stuff. I was really shocked. I was really taken aback, to be honest. As much as I'm not a huge fan, I do watch some Arsenal Fan TV. Graham. Curtis, there is a few guys on there, Turkish, there's some guys in there that do talk a ton of sense, level-headed, don't just rant for views. And I was shocked at hearing the fans sort of, Arsenal Fan TV, get out of our club, for the fans, by the fans apparently. Well, you can't really say that when your own fans are the ones chanting they want you out, It does that not ring an alarm bell with Robbie and tell him, well, obviously he's not running it for the fans, by the fans, because the fans don't want it? So, and I said, I didn't like it. I don't like that sort of mob mentality, that, although Robbie's a big lad and I'm sure he can look after himself, I don't like that. I wouldn't like 20 or 30 people crowding me, chanting at me, because it sort of puts you in a fight or flight mode where you think, well, do I have to chin one of these guys before one of them takes a swipe at me? These days of acid attacks and all of that, I didn't like it, I must admit. I think voice your opinion, but do it from a little bit of distance. But did I feel a ton of sympathy? No, because this is what these guys do. These guys, they have kids in the background chanting, what do we think of Emery shit? What do we think of shit Emery? It's classless, so act classless, get treated classless, Karma's a bitch, and that's why I have no sympathy with him, because he chose money over Arsenal, and that's why I don't like that platform. Selling merchandise, who really wants to wear an Arsenal Fan TV fucking hoodie or bobble hat, 12-year-olds. I don't know a grown man that'd wear any of that shite, I really don't, and that's the problem for me, is it's not about Arsenal, it's about, sensationalism and making money. It's not about Arsenal at all, in my opinion. Arsenal is just the vehicle that they're using to make money, and that's why I have an issue with it. I've seen a few videos of people coming out saying you need to fuck off, and for a lot of people it's just they have an issue with two people on their DTing troops, and I can understand, because they're the same two people I have a bit of an issue with, because it all feels very media savvy. I think these guys spend 5 minutes before they go on the fan cams thinking of what I've seen it before where something's got said online and then they've used that exact same one-liner in their fan cam. That's not a fan's reaction, a real reaction outside the ground. That's premeditated, that's pre-recorded, that's, pre-thought out, and something that you have the intent of saying because you want people to tune into you and you want your views to go through the roof, by shouting stupid shit. I've seen a few people do it this week, and I get a little bit of feeling that this guy that's come out and done a video having a go at him, he's doing it for the exact same reason. I just don't like it. You guys know, I run a channel, but I'm not doing it to get rich. I do it because I love talking Arsenal. This will never be, even if I got a few thousand subscribers, it'll never be filled with adverts, because it's not what I do it for. I just do it for the passion of Arsenal and talking to Arsenal fans and sharing my opinions on Arsenal, and that's what Robbie lost sight of. I think he had all the best intentions in the world when he set it up, and I still think it's a good platform. I always want fans to have a voice, but it's got to be fans, even if they're reactionary, doing it in a manner that is correct. People say, well, how are they any different from TalkSport? TalkSport do this, BBC do this, blah, 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 Sky are like this. Yeah, but they're not called Arsenal Sky TV. They're not called Arsenal TalkSport. That's what a lot of people have an issue with, is that these guys are meant to represent my football club and represent me, and they couldn't be any further from that. These guys I would make a point of not associating myself with, rather than gravitating towards them. No, I have nothing in common with these guys. Apart from, we love Arsenal, that is it. Then we have nothing in common apart from that. Maybe age. Probably I'm a bit older than them too, or similar age, close to 40. But yeah, I think there's, I very like Arteta. I think there's some quick wins in there for Robbie. Somebody asked me about me yesterday saying, what, you can't get rid of Arsenal Fan TV, and I wouldn't want to get rid of it, but how can he just quickly do something? I said all he needs to do is just his fan cams, outside the ground, just quickly, anybody that's walking past, Arsenal fans, 30 seconds, give us your quick thoughts on this game, mate. Yeah, well, I thought we were this, that, right, next one, blah, bang. Just anybody that comes out, it's going to be hit and miss, and the quality is, mate, it's not going to get as much traction and as much traffic as his normal videos get. But surely it's better if you're getting the traffic from actual Arsenal fans than fans of other clubs that just enjoy ridiculing watching some absolute melt Arsenal fans lose the shit outside the ground. And the fact that they're doing it, I don't believe they're doing it because they feel that way. I feel that they're doing it because they know that's what gets attention on their channels. So I think Robbie should do away with any regulars on fan cams, and all of his regular stuff he just keeps to on their channel. And then, like people say, if you want to watch it, you can choose to watch it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to. And that'd suit me, because then Arsenal Fan TV doesn't represent me anymore. It just represents their version of representing Arsenal fans. You know, and then the part that I do want to align myself with is just random Arsenal fans coming out the ground. You know, you might get one guy going, oh, that was absolute shit when we've won 5-0, and somebody else saying it's brilliant when we've been absolute dog shit, but that's what you want. And I think that's what bugs most people, is it's, you know, like they say, it's for the fans, by the fans, and it's not. It's the same for your faces. And people have said to me, well, anybody can queue up and get interviewed out after. No, they can't. No, they can't. Everybody else has to queue up like a Boxing Day sale at the Trafford Centre, where you're in a queue and you know you're never going to get to the front of it. Whereas the likes of DT and Troops stroll up and they go right to the front. People have told me that. I've never gone anywhere near Robbie and his crew when I've been at the Emirates or at away games. Somebody said to me, why don't you go on? If you want the content to be better on there, why don't you go on yourself? I tried to, and I got totally blanked. So, you know, they might look at it as who wants to listen to a mank. You know, he probably doesn't know anything about Arsenal. He's probably a fair weather supporter. You know, might you support one of your own local team? You know, that usual, the stigma I always get attached to being a mank. You know, obviously fans all have to come from London apparently, and you know, in Robbie's words, if you don't go to games, then you're not really a fan. You know, in his response to Simon Jordan, which I found hilarious. You know, and then responding to this stuff, you know, Robbie made it about a racial thing, saying it'd be like racial abuse in the 80s, and I thought, yeah, I don't, you know, you're looking for sympathy up the wrong tree there, mate, I feel. You know, and then again, he gets DT and he interviews DT, and DT says that, you know, well, these fans are all basically dickheads, you know, and they're like this because they're on the coke and they're drinking beer at 9 a.m. And I thought, way to build a bridge, pal. You know, great olive branch you're holding out there. What a dick. You know, and this is why people don't like the guy. This is why I don't like the guy. You know, some of you guys know I had a run-in with him last year on the Indonesian tour when I pulled him about getting a shirt, and I said, these kids over here, mate, this is the only time they will ever see us live probably in their lifetimes. Let one of them have the shirt. And he turned around to me and said, oh, you're just jealous, mate. And I thought, you know, I said at the time, I'd rather eat all of my meals through a sweaty tramp sock for the rest of my life than be this guy. And that's what people have the problem with, is he has such a high opinion of himself when he has no idea about other people. So he might say, I want to be him, but I've been in a much better position than, you know, what he's been doing for 2 years, I've been doing for 10. I've been going all around the world to World Cups, you know, getting paid to go to Champions League finals and things. So if anything, he'd probably rather be me than be him if we're going to go down that route. I'm much better looking, I'm much more interesting, I'm much more nicer person and warm-hearted than he is for a start. Laughable. And that's why I just don't identify with the guy, because that's how far up his own arse he is, that, you know, he thinks I would want to be him. You know, still laugh about it to this day. It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. But, you know, that's only my own real opinion. Like I say, I think there's a quick win in there for Robbie if he just gets away with the fan cams for the time being. But he won't, because, you know, like I've said all along, he prefers money to the reputation of Arsenal Football Club. So, fuck you, pal, as far as I'm concerned. And if you keep getting abused, and I think that abuse is going to continue now. I don't think these guys, you know, they've snapped. I said it, you know, there's so many fans, you know, that have at snapping point with the club on so many issues, you know, and it's like the straw that broke the camel's back sort of thing. And maybe it is directed in the wrong direction for a lot of people. Maybe they're going, well, I'm pissed off with Crunker and I can't get him out, but I'll tell you where I can have a go at and I can get out, Arsenal Fan TV. So, you know, they're as detrimental to the club as the Cronkers, so fuck it. Let's have a go at letting Robbie know how I feel. And as long as it's done in a respectful way, I don't have a real problem with it. You know, Robbie saying, you know, it's mob mentality and all the rest of it. Well, you know, you've got guys that you're laughing and joking while they're going, fuck you to people, you know, get fucked. You know, they have the cheek to call, you know, you guys know I dislike Xhaka, but I've never called him a fake Albanian because that's personal. It's not personal for me, I just don't think he's a very good footballer, so I keep it to football. You know, these guys are calling him a fake Albanian and then trying to pull the racism card. It's like, turn it in, Robbie, mate. You know, I think, like Arteta coming into the club, and we're going to find out a lot about players and characters, you know, and who they are as people. I think that's going to be the same with Arsenal fans now, and you're going to see people's true colours. And I will tell you for a fact, Robbie's never ditching anything he's doing on Arsenal Fan TV, because it's all about that for him. And while that keeps coming in, he's not going to change the way he approaches things. And that's sad because, like I say, it's meant to be a really good platform for Arsenal fans, and I think he could quickly make it that. And I think that what he'd lose in fans, you know, if it's less comical and less like a carry-on fucking film, you know, when he makes it more about Arsenal and quality Arsenal content, yes, you will lose a lot of their followers. And I think that's what he's genuinely scared of, is half of their audience disappearing if it's all more serious and less, you know, less knee-jerk and reactionary and what did I keep saying before? You know, over the top sort of thing. That he will lose a lot of views, but would you not rather, you know, if it's purely, and you're saying you love Arsenal and it's purely about Arsenal, would you not rather lose 200,000 subscribers to gain, you know, of other fan bases to gain 50,000 actual Arsenal fan subscribers? He'd still make mega money, and then he's actually got a platform where people might applaud him rather than, you know, like I say, you've set up a platform here for Arsenal fans, and Arsenal fans are outside the ground basically. If there weren't cameras and police, probably throwing shit at him for him, and, you know, getting quite not violent, but it would have maybe got a bit pushy and shovey, you know, and a bit heated. Very interesting, very interesting. And I suppose it's just something else that's not great really at the start of the Arteta era that we've got this again. But if people feel strongly about it and they feel that strongly that they want to, you know, at a game, let these guys know they don't represent them, and, well, you know, I've seen ladies in the 60s banging pots and pans outside Downing Street because they don't like Boris Johnson. So, you know, do I think it's a total waste of time? Yeah, but, you know, you can't complain if you never voice your opinion. So I don't have any real issue with it. I just hope it doesn't get too horrible, and I hope it doesn't get to a point of violence, because there's just no need. It's, you know, it's football, it's a game, it's a pastime, a hobby, and it should be treated as such. So that's that, guys. I'm going to talk now. That's me done. Again, thank you for. I know this was a long one, but there was just a few bits to talk about, and just I love you guys. I honestly think you're absolutely brilliant. You know, and I never thought. You know, I thought I'd do these for sort of 6 weeks to myself, just to vent some frustration at a tough time, and you know, I'd just do it until I got fed up of doing it to myself. But I don't feel like I'll ever do that really. And when you know, some of you guys send me nice kind messages of, "Si, I really enjoyed the content," or "You can make this better, Si," or "Have you ever thought of doing this?" It warms me cockles, people. It warms me little northern cockles. So God bless you for that. Yeah, you know. Like I say, it's been a rough year for me family-wise. If you guys are having any family problems, please come and talk to me. You know, I work in this sort of thing now. I will always be an ear you can bend. You know, if you just want me to listen or you want me to give you an opinion, I'm here for you guys. You're part of my family as the Arsenal family. And, you know, you've been here for me this year when I've needed it, and when, you know, there's been many times this year where I've just wanted to curl up and die and just give up. I'll be totally honest. You know, I'm a guy that's always laughing and smiling, but I put a brave face on things at times, because for me, I'm a very stubborn, you know, typical headstrong man, that my problems are my problems, and, you know, everyone has their own problems, so they don't need mine, so I'll deal with mine, you know, and try and help other people with theirs, and you can't be like that. So, you know, I've tried to open up a bit more this year and keep you guys in the loop of, you know, having to sacrifice my own life at the minute for the better of my mum, you know, and looking after someone that's sort of terminally ill. You know, so I hope that maybe inspires some of you guys that are maybe having a tough time. And like I say, I'm here for you, anything like that. If you ever have any suicidal thoughts, or you're just really down, or you're dealing with something that you're not sure about, guys, please come and hit me up. You know, I will try and make you laugh. I will try and listen. I will try and, you know, anything you want, guys, please come to me, because I owe it to you, and I have a lot of love for you guys, I really do. Sorry to end it on a bit of a depressing note, but I just, like I say, I don't think you guys can ever really understand. Sorry, I'm getting a bit upset, guys, but I don't think you can really understand sometimes the effect you can have on people without actually realising it. You know, even if somebody just tweets, "I feel down today," just say, "Are you alright, mate?" Even if you don't mean it, even if you don't really care, just let that person feel like somebody is out there that cares, because it's made a massive difference to me this year. It really has. You know, and a big shout out to Sonny, Sonny Unfiltered. he's a guy who I have massive love for. I thought I was having a tough time this year, and I'm not going to talk about that guy personally, but he's been through something way more intense than I have. And the way that guy just bounces back and takes pelters and keeps voicing his honest opinion, knowing what will come back and knowing that probably not great mental state he's been in. Honestly, guys, you've got to applaud him and you've got to back him. He's trying to provide a platform for people where everybody gets a voice. Yes, he does have some regulars like me, but in the main, he's just random fans. And if more fans message him saying, "I want to come on," he will. He'll tell people like me. People like me will go, "All right, well, I don't need to come on this week. I'll enjoy watching other fans talk." But just chatting to him this year and him letting me go on his podcast. Because I've got quite lonely doing this. That's why I want to start doing more live ones where you guys are in the chat. And I've said if any of you guys want to come on and join me, please DM me because I'll have anybody on. I'll run the show and you can just chime in when I ask you to. There's no pressure. You don't have to be media trained. You don't have to be good. Look at me, guys. I just waffle shit every week. There's no rehearsals. There's just a little bit of notes on a piece of paper and let's crack it on live. Please come and get more involved, guys. And I really want to help Sonny grow his channel next year. I would like to just become a part of his channel, to be honest, and stop my own. But I'll keep mine going. And I would really like to grow my own if I can't be a part of his. So just please keep doing what you're doing, guys. Keep supporting because it means the world to me. And I hope you all have an absolutely stunning Christmas with your loved ones. And I will try and pop a video up over Christmas. Love you all. Take it easy. Signing out. It's been a top 2019, guys, and let's roll on 2020 in the Arteta era. Come on, you Gunners! Come on, you Gunners! Take it easy, people.